So, Ferrari in 2020, another season for them to try and chase a title, another season they will be hoping will be theirs for either of their drivers to win a title and bring it back to Maranello. It's quite crazy to think that Ferrari, the last time they won a constructors title was back in 2008, and the last time they won a drivers title was back in 2007 with Kimi Raikkonen. That's 13 years without a drivers title. That's actually one of their longest barren spells without a driver's title. If you remember, of course, back in 1979, where Jody Scheckter won a title for Ferrari, it took them over 2 decades until Michael Schumacher returned it back and won the first of his 5 consecutive titles with Ferrari in the year 2000. However, since 2007, it's not like they've not had chances. First of all, against Lewis Hamilton in 2008, where Felipe Massa lost it at the final race, and then with Fernando Alonso in 2010 and 2012 against the Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel, and then over the past 3 years we've had Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari with Charles Leclerc, obviously in 2019, yet again losing it with relatively good and competitive cars from 2017 to 2018 and then 2019 again to Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. So when you look at the bigger picture, is it really a surprise? And in my opinion, it's quite ironic now that it's Ferrari who are chasing Lewis Hamilton's signature to race for them. I just find it kind of funny. And 2019, I maintained, and I actually made a video, and I said Ferrari could have won that championship in 2019. When you look at the numbers and the mistakes that they made, the reliability issues that they had, also some of the inter-team things that weren't quite working, and as I said, some of the crashes that the drivers had, which were quite a lot between both of them, the numbers line up. They could have put Mercedes under more pressure and at least challenge for the title, and yet again they failed, and a lot of people run to the car in 2019 and they say it wasn't as good as Mercedes. But when you look at races like Canada, and Bahrain as well, they definitely could have challenged for that title, and yet again it was another failure. And every single season that Ferrari don't even challenge for the title is a total failure, because Ferrari is a team that want to win and is a team that is designed to win. So will 2020 be any different? One of the most exciting storylines to follow in 2020, almost the same as it was in 2019, is the polarizing relationship between Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. Whilst to the media it might look great, lovey-dovey, they're all for Ferrari and they're great mates and everything like that, we saw a lot of cracks in 2019. It all kind of came to almost blows in Brazil, but it started way before then, even in Russia, where there were some ridiculous team orders and both of the drivers kind of upset over team radio, and Mattia Binotto struggling to control these two drivers. And I once again, I made a video after Russia and I said I don't think these two drivers are able to win championships as teammates, and I still do not believe that. And with the driver market the way it is, and where these two drivers are, we saw what Leclerc is able to do. The guy is special, there's no doubt about it. When you look at his first season at Ferrari, the 2 wins in Spa and Monza, and then the 7 pole positions, more than anyone else, the kid is special. But when you look at Sebastian Vettel, a 4-time world champion, a season where he needed to grab Ferrari by the scruff of the neck and really assert his dominance, only getting 1 win, 2 pole positions, and 9 podiums in 21 races in a Ferrari, finishing 5th in the championship, 24 points behind his teammate, almost an entire win. That just was not good enough, and that is why I am saying, and I've thought about this for a while, that I think Ferrari need to drop Sebastian Vettel at the end of 2020. Now, before I get any further into this topic, don't get it twisted. Sebastian Vettel is an absolute legend of the sport. I absolutely love the guy. I think he is honestly so underrated and kind of underappreciated by a lot of people. There's a lot of haters about his 4 world championships with Red Bull. A lot of people who think he's almost lucky to have those world championships, which is absolutely ridiculous. If you actually watched him back in the day and you knew how tight the field was and you saw what kind of comebacks he made in 2010, not even leading the championship at any of those races until the final race, and then in 2012 as well, not having a good start to the season and building his way back up, and that incredible season finale in Brazil, and the other 2 dominant years, the way he just absolutely ran away with the field. This guy is good, and even when he came to Ferrari, he proved to everyone that he's not just a one-trick pony. I love the guy, don't get me wrong, he's one of the nicest guys on the grid. He can have his explosive moments in the car, and that has been his downfall for the past few years. The thing about Sebastian Vettel is that when he's in the zone, when he's in the groove, he is up there with Hamilton, Alonso, Schumacher, whatever. When he's absolutely in tune with the car, he's almost unbeatable like all of those guys. However, the flip side to all of that is that aggression and that fire that he has. Whilst it can be good, and you do need that if you want to be a winning driver, you need to have that aggression and you need to have just that little spark that can just make you do magic stuff on track. He also has a detrimental side to him, and we've seen it so many times where his aggression just takes over him and he almost just loses his mind sometimes. And this is something that's been going on his entire career. The difference between basically now at Ferrari and almost then at Red Bull is that at Red Bull, it was almost sporadic. It was sometimes, in 2010 in Turkey, he kind of lost his mind a little bit there with Mark Webber. And then in 2013, the whole Multi-21 incident. But again, you saw that fire in him wanting to win. So it has its positives and negatives. But now that side is coming out a lot more at Ferrari. To me, it kind of started maybe in 2016, if you remember, with the whole Charlie Whiting incident in Mexico, where he was up against Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo, very unhappy, just completely swearing over team radio. He clearly lost his head, and all those mistakes just started to pile up more and more and more when the pressure rose in 2017, when he had a car good enough to challenge for the title. Then, of course, he had that famous crash in Singapore with his teammate and Max Verstappen. Then it rolled over and just almost expanded in 2018 with all those crashes, beginning with that Germany crash in the rain whilst he was leading in the championship, leading the race, and that is where it just spiraled out of control, spilled over into 2019 when we saw more mistakes, spinning in Bahrain, going off in Canada, losing all of these points. And now, obviously, I don't think he can win a title with Ferrari. Oh, certainly not up against Lewis Hamilton, and we've seen that already. Lewis is beating him time and time again, and this is where Ferrari kind of have to think to themselves. Sebastian Vettel is a top quality driver. The guy is incredible. He is a legend, no doubt about it. But he's not going to be able to beat Lewis Hamilton, and he is now struggling to beat these new guys as well. Not only was he overtaken by kind of his era of drivers like Fernando Alonso, although, that one's obviously debatable, but he's definitely overtaken by Lewis Hamilton. He is now showing signs of being overtaken by Leclerc and Verstappen, proven by the fact that Leclerc obviously outperformed him in 2019 by the end of the season. So this is my case for why I think Sebastian Vettel and why I think Ferrari, more importantly, should not re-sign him for 2021, is that they need to have a serious look at themselves and say, yes, Sebastian Vettel is a great driver, but now we have Charles Leclerc, someone who is at the start of his career and has so much more to grow. He has so much more to improve. He's only going to get better and better and better. And what is the real point of us keeping Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari? Is he actually going to help them to win the title? Or is he just going to compete with Leclerc even more and more and more and perhaps just kind of unsettle the team and unsettle their relationship and be detrimental to Ferrari and their hopes of winning the title? And for me, the answer to that is yes. I really did think at the start of the 2019 season, it was a make or break season for Sebastian Vettel. He needed to prove to us and to Ferrari that he can stand up against these young talents, and he failed. You can bring reliability into it, and you can kind of mix up the numbers there and there to say that Sebastian did have a better season, but let's not kid ourselves. Over the course of the entire season, we saw more potential and more growth in the future but for Charles Leclerc to win a title at Ferrari than Sebastian Vettel, and Ferrari have to ask themselves, can we win with Leclerc and Vettel as teammates? And in my opinion, the answer to that is no. Of course, 2020 might be a completely different story. Ferrari have already announced when they're launching their brand new livery and their brand new car on the 11th of February. And as far as the contract, well, Ferrari locked down Charles Leclerc till 2024, a 5-year extension contract. And what you've got to realize as well is that Sebastian Vettel, those 4 world championships, they come at a cost. And we're talking around the region of £40 million. That is, even to Ferrari, that is not just something to be scoffed at. So he also costs a lot of money, and does he really add to the team now, or does he just distract from the fact that Leclerc is a much better title contender than Sebastian Vettel? That's where I think Mattia Binotto has a really hard conversation that he has to have with himself and the board. He knows that Sebastian Vettel is doing a good enough job. I'm not saying Sebastian isn't performing, but he's not adding to the team. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to win the championship. When you look at Mercedes, you look at Lewis Hamilton, the star driver, and you look at Valtteri Bottas, who always will perform, but then Lewis is the one that's going to be challenging for the title, no doubt. You look at Red Bull, Verstappen also signed an extension contract with them. He is the star driver, and he has Albon there, perhaps someone else with Toro Rosso if they keep doing, musical chairs there. They'll also support Verstappen. When you look at Ferrari, it's just 2 drivers kind of on the same level, because they are quite close, that are constantly fighting against each other and not able to really pull through with the pressure because they're always competing so hard against each other. And I think Ferrari kind of have to go back to their basics, to be honest, and kind of back to their history of having a real real number one driver, and that is obviously Charles Leclerc, the guy who has so much talent, the guy who is going to win championships in the future, the guy who has a 5-year extension contract, and the guy who obviously is the future of Ferrari. And this is the perfect moment. Obviously, Sebastian Vettel is now out of contract for 2021, and he is now waiting to see what Ferrari are going to think. And I kind of talked about this in my Max Verstappen video that I did just a few days ago. The power is really switched, because back in 2017 and 18, it was all Sebastian Vettel, and he could have any Ferrari contract that he wanted, and he had Ferrari at his fingertips. Now it's the other way around. It's, do Ferrari even need Sebastian Vettel? And as I said, my position is no. Once again, I have to reiterate this. I love Seb. I love him at Ferrari. He is just such a cool character at that team. I think it's like the perfect team for him, but it just never came together. I really wish he did kind of nick one of those championships, maybe in 2017 or in 2018, to complete his career, winning a title, the 4 consecutive world titles with Red Bull and then one with Ferrari, but it just never came together because he just made too many mistakes and he wasn't able to perform under that Ferrari pressure, under those Maranello fans, that it just never came together. And as I said, once again, Mattia Binotto has to have a serious conversation and a big look at his team ahead of those brand new rules in 2021, ahead of the brand new era of Formula 1, and think to himself, is this driver pairing going to win championships against the likes of Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, Max Verstappen at Red Bull, and perhaps even other people and really good talents coming to Mercedes, and the rise of McLaren as well? We just never know what's going to happen with them. Is this driver pairing and his Sebastian Vettel really going to help the team win world championships? And to me, the answer to that is no. So guys, there you go. That is my opinion on Sebastian Vettel. Not gonna lie guys, if this does happen, I mean, this is gonna be a big heartbreak to me because I'm a big Seb fan. I love him at Ferrari, but this channel is for me to give my honest opinion, and that is exactly what I give you guys. However, short of winning the championship in 2020, and that is the only thing that in my opinion can save him, I do think that Ferrari should drop him at the end of 2020 for someone else in 2021. As far as the other 2 really big questions, if this does come true, who should Ferrari sign alongside Leclerc and where should Vettel go? Those 2 questions are for a whole other video for a later date. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. Anyway guys, I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, don't forget to drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and check out my social medias. Instagram and Twitter will be above, and also let me know in the comments below guys, do you think Vettel should stay or go? Yeah, I look forward to seeing what you guys think. Anyway, I will see you later. Bye guys.